Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And we're back. It's been a while, huh, Derek?
Yeah, we did the Game of the Year segment, but it's been a while since we actually had a conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's been not a ton of gaming news, but there has been gaming news to discuss.
Yes, and some games have come out that we've been playing, and, you know, the Switch Direct on the horizon. I'm sure there's lots of things we can touch upon.
We can always talk about the Switch Direct.
Always.
I should mention that this is episode 70.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so we're almost at episode 100. Maybe in a couple years we'll get there. Anyways, Derek, before we get into some news, I thought I'd just mention, you might know this already, but I am officially a game collector.
Okay,
I made my first sale on eBay today.
Oh, you sold a game?
Yeah, I'm like selling games too. And I have over 170 GameCube games.
What did you sell?
I just have an extra copy of Smash Bros.
How much did you sell it for?
$75.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, on eBay they pay for the shipping too, so it's easy. I mean, I had 3 copies. Well, I had 2 copies, and both of them had like the bestseller icon on it, and I wanted the version that was like the launch version that doesn't have that. So I found that version, I bought it, and then I sold one of my like ones with those little sales, like, you know, bestseller patch on it. I didn't want that on the box.
The Nintendo hits or whatever.
Yeah, but it was complete in box. Had the instruction manual and a good quality box and all that. I also have complete in box a GameCube, a Super Nintendo, an N64, a Wii, and a Wii U.
Every system?
Well, I don't have Nintendo, and I don't have the handhelds, and I don't have a Switch. I mean, I have a Switch, but I don't have it complete in box. These games are all these systems are all complete in box with all their manuals, all their
unopened. Are they opened or unopened?
They've been opened. Yeah, none of them are sealed and never opened. But the Super Nintendo's never been opened. It's never been used.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not sealed, and the Wii is like mint quality. It's almost like it's never been used. I also have every Mario Kart, every Donkey Kong Country, and every Smash Bros. Complete in box, including the Japanese versions.
Wait. You have every Smash Bros. Both English and Japanese?
Okay, so disclaimer. Once Mario Kart DS came out, once the DS versions came out, they stopped making unique box arts in Japan. So the box art is like literally identical for the Wii, the Wii U, for the Switch, for the 3DS. So I just kind of I stopped there. So I have the Japanese versions of like Smash 64, Smash Melee, Smash for Wii. I have that one because it's a little different. But I don't have the same. I don't do the modern one. So yeah, for example, for Mario Kart, I have Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Double Dash, and Mario Kart Super Circuit for Game Boy Advance. I have the Japanese versions of those.
It's just so funny. Every time I talk to you, every 2-3 weeks, it's like your collection has grown exponentially.
Oh yeah.
It's I have almost all the Mario Karts. It's like now I have them all and the Smash Bros. And in Japanese. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, and you should see my Donkey Kong. I got Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 complete in box. The Japanese version's complete in box. I have Donkey Kong 64, Japanese and English, complete in box. And I have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and Wii. But I'm not going to go as far as getting the Game Boy versions of those, because there's a whole line. There's 3 Game Boy Color Donkey Kongs, 3 Game Boy Advance Donkey Kongs, and the Japanese versions. That's a whole nother level. I don't even have enough space for that. My cabinet is full already.
Are you gonna do it with Metroid Prime?
So on my long-term list is probably complete Metroid as well, and Zelda.
Zelda's a big one.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that there's a big difference between having the game. There's a big jump up to complete in box.
Yeah,
and then there's a big jump from complete in box to mint quality complete in box.
Yeah, or unopened. Yeah.
sealed is a whole nother. That's a massive jump. But sealed and graded is a massive leap from complete in box.
Yeah, graded anything is
totally. So I don't have sealed graded quality stuff. Like even all my N64 and like cardboard cartridge games.
If you were to get one game though that was sealed in box, and you're just like gonna drop in like this is your holy grail game that's like mint perfect, unopened, untouched, what would it be?
Probably Super Mario 64, but at a value, probably Mario Brothers for NES. Like that's just worth a lot of money. I could probably sell it and then buy a bunch of others.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. Like once you go to the sealed and graded level, like it's like thousands of dollars jump. But my copy of Mario 64 is really high quality. Like it's really mint condition. But even still, if I got it graded, it would still probably be like a 5 or a 6.
Oh yeah, like even a bent corner can lower it like 3 levels.
Totally. And let me tell you, like if you're willing to sacrifice on box, like my Ocarina of Time box is a little bit rough. So is my Conker's Bad Fur Day box. So like I wasn't paying astronomical prices for them. So it's all about like how much you were willing to compromise on, like frankly the box quality.
So that last time you and I talked about your collection, you were very focused on GameCube, but it seems like you've expanded quite heavily into N64 now too.
Well, I just don't have much left to get on the GameCube.
So instead of stopping and being happy, you found another way to keep the collection growing.
No, I'm not gonna I'm pretty much stopped now. Like I'm not gonna go nuts on N64 because it just goes forever in terms of complete in box. But yeah, I just kind of decided I'm like, you know what? I want to have Donkey Kong Country. I want to finish the Smash Bros. I want to have the Japanese of Mario Kart. But I will also say that the Japanese versions of games is very cheap. Like I've got a Japanese version of Perfect Dark coming that's mint quality, complete in box, with the player's guide in Japanese for less than I paid. Well, not quite, but like almost equal to what I paid for a Perfect Dark complete in box in North America, but with the damaged box. So the Japanese, like, let me make a better reference. I got the Donkey Kong Country trilogy in Japanese, complete in box, for cheaper than any of the Donkey Kong Country individually complete in box in North America.
Wow, dang! How much? I don't know if there's a question to ask. How much have you spent or invested total? Do you think?
Well, it's hard to say because when I started, I already had somewhat of a collection from GameCube. I already had the Super Nintendo, but. I use price charting, which is like a website where you can. Have you ever heard of price charting?
Yeah, I've seen it before for some games.
You should put your collection on there because it basically like tells you the value. It fluctuates them. It's the fluctuating value of them, and it's so easy to add games. Like you think it's overwhelming to add 100 games. It's really not. It makes it really easy. My collection's like I'd say it's worth over $10,000 at this point.
How much have you spent on it though?
At least 5,000 or 6,000 in the last year.
Dang, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I went kind of nuts, but I did have some stuff already, which helped me get ahead. But the way I see it is, for one, it's a write-off, right? Because it's research for my job.
Shouldn't say that on the podcast.
Well, it is. Plus, I have a podcast. I have a Instagram channel called The GameCube Man. So I'm making a little bit of content. So it actually is part of my job, right? Because I'm a YouTuber. So I can at least write off some of that. And also, I look at it as an investment where the value of these things is only going to go up. So it's something I figured I can leave to my kids.
That'd be cool.
And I have a surprise announcement. I'm having kids, twins. So I have 2 kids to give it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's been an interesting hobby to get into, and like the community's really supportive. I've noticed, like I've got a lot of followers on Instagram really quickly. There's all these trade shows and events that you can go to. It's just an extremely supportive community. And there's something really cool about holding a game box that you had as a kid, but like maybe just shredded open the cardboard. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like the SNES.
It's crazy to think we would have gotten like Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3 and just like shredded the cardboard open and thrown it in the garbage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just wish I hadn't have done that.
Are you playing all these games, or are there some games that you're like, I will not play this game?
I don't have enough time in my life to play all these games.
I don't mean time wise. And it's like, are there some games that like you're like, I don't want to open this because I want to keep it in the state it's in, or every game's on the table to be played? Like if a friend comes over, you're going to show them some of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll open them. I'll be careful about it, but for the most part, like, I'd have no reason to play Super Mario 64. It's better. The better version is on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Ocarina of Time. Anything on Nintendo Switch Online is better on that service. So playing on N64 is kind of like it's not a lot of point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart 64, I'd rather just play on the NSO and play online and play on through HDMI and have it upscaled. Like I'm telling you, Derek, I have it set up so I can put my GameCube. I have a CRT or not a CRT. I have an old LCD TV next to my big screen, my OLED.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a RCA or like a composite video signal splitter so that when I play GameCube or N64, I can have it on both TVs at the same time. And it looks very bad on the OLED. Like these games blown up to that level through an OLED LED, like through an OLED display. Like there's delay. It's just too big. It loses some of that old TV filter look.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had Tony Hawk Pro Skater going on both just to test, and it just looked so much better on the little TV. So I don't know, but I did play a few rounds of Smash 64 this past weekend because that's not out on any NSO service. And it's fun to dive into like old GameCube games. So, but it's more like I'd be hard pressed to say I'm going to sit there and beat an entire game that way.
No, for sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's more just like I want the box. I want to have the collector item as a display.
Do you feel like it's going to encroach on too much space eventually, or is it like, do you like having it more and more in your space?
I'm okay. I have like a cabinet now that has like a light and stuff, like a really nice glass collector's cabinet.
Nice. And last question is, have you been scammed on eBay yet? Any screw ups? Like
Nope.
anyone screwed? Nice.
Nope, but there was one instance. eBay's really friendly, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but like I ordered a few games. They were shipped really late, and they didn't arrive by the shipment. I asked for a refund. They gave me the full refund, and then I still got the game. Or games, it was plural. So I go back, I'm like, hey, like I tried to give the money back, and the seller's like, don't worry about it. This happens. It just took too long in the postage. And I did order quite an expensive game. I got it. I realized it wasn't complete in box. It was missing the manual, but that wasn't mentioned in that wasn't mentioned in the sale. Mm-hmm. So I went to request a refund, where I sent it back for a refund, and the seller, I guess he never got back to me. He mentioned, so days went by, they gave me the full refund, and I was able to keep the game. So I basically got a free $90 game. So I went and bought the complete in box, and now I'm trying to sell that version on eBay. And he sent me a really nasty message being like, hey, I said it was not complete in box in the description, but I was kind of like, dude, you put it in the bottom description, not the top description, and you priced it like the complete in box version, and you used like one of the kind of game pamphlets to like flat fan behind another pamphlet to make it seem complete in box. I was like, it was just a bit deceptive. So no, I mean, I'm sure at least one game in my collection is like a repro, like a reproduction, like a scam reproduction, or a, what do they call it? Not repro is usually like an official reproduction. This would be like a knockoff.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I've been scammed. There's been a few times where like you get a game, you're like, okay, you took the pictures of it to make this look a lot better quality, but it is what it is. Yeah, for the most part, I'll probably just end up playing GameCube games because a lot of those haven't re-released, and it's fun to play. Like I played some Burnout 2, I played some Godzilla.
You know a game I've been itching to play a lot lately because it seems like there's been a lot of discussion about this series online.
What's that?
Is Wave Race. I remember Wave Race 64 fondly, but I really would love to play Blue Storm again.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I have both. I have Wave Race 64 complete in box.
I understand you have collection feeder. We're talking about games now, not what you own.
But I will say, Wave Race Blue Storm, I have played it recently. It doesn't really hold up as much as you'd hope. I actually think the original Wave Race holds up way better. It controls better, has way better music, has more tracks. It's just more nostalgic, and like it was such a leap in technology. Like Wave Race 64 is an amazing, amazing leap in technology. Blue Storm wasn't. It was developed by a completely different developer.
I thought Blue Storm was pretty big on like having some of the best graphics for the time.
Well, it was. You got to remember when GameCube came out, it was next generation. But the water controls and physics in 64 are still better. It's kind of like how Mario 64 still seems like it has more controllable physics than something like 3D World. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just it's more like open with the physics model, even though it's generations behind. So 64 is great, but the NSO version is great too. Like I don't see any reason to ever bust out my N64 version and play in 240p resolution.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the one game that I find was surprising me that holds up from GameCube was 1080 Snowboarding.
That's a great game too. Do you have the GameCube one as well?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The GameCube.
Oh yeah. What's it called? 1080 Avalanche.
Avalanche. Yeah. So the N64 one actually I find didn't hold up very well because I played it through an NSO. And just like the controls, like the way to do it's dumb that you can do like 5 180s in a row and it doesn't just count it as like a 720, right? Like why does it do that? I don't know. Well, I guess it'd be 4 180s as a 720. But anyways, I remember we rented Avalanche back in the day and like not thinking much of it, and it had like 7 out of 10 reviews. Kind of went under the radar, but replaying it again, I'm realizing how great it is and how fun and like how the sense of speed and the graphics. I've been playing a bunch of the snowboarding games on GameCube.
The SSX too, yeah.
SSX Tricky, SSX On Tour, and SSX 3.
Nice.
I don't know if you're following my Instagram channel, Derek. Are you my GameCube?
I don't have Instagram, no.
Okay, well, I made a list of my top 12 GameCube games, which is going to be my next post.
Nice.
Do you want to know what the list is? I put a lot of thought into it because I laid all the game boxes out in a row.
Sure, go for it. You ranked all 100 games that you have?
No, just all the top 12.
Okay.
I haven't played enough of the games to like really rank 100 games, right? Mm-hmm. But my top GameCube games, number 12 is Beautiful Joe.
Good choice.
Mario Kart Double Dash at 11.
I'm surprised that it's not my favorite Mario Kart, but I'm surprised that's so low for you.
Surprised you even made the list, but 10 is Eternal Darkness.
Oh, yeah, that's a good game. Oh, wait, the perfect... Oh, sorry, Eternal Darkness, yeah.
Yeah, 9 is Star Wars Rogue Leader. 8 is SSX 3.
Wow, that beat Star Wars. Wow.
Oh, I love SSX 3. It's so good. 7 was Resident Evil Remake. 6 was Pikmin 1. 5 was Smash Bros. Melee. 4 was Metroid Prime 2 Echoes.
Wait, you can't pick 2.
No, sorry, I Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is my number 4.
Yeah.
Can you guess the last 3?
Yes. So I'm gonna bet that you didn't put Sunshine on this list. So I'm gonna say the top 2 I know for sure. Number 3 is the tricky one. I don't think it's Sunshine.
It'll be obvious when I tell you, Derek.
I'm gonna skip 3, but I know 1 and 2 are definitely Resident Evil 4 and Metroid Prime.
Yep.
I'm gonna say number 3. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say Twilight Princess.
Okay, no, it's F-Zero GX.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that game.
Number 1 is Metroid Prime, but I did think, and 2 is Resident Evil 4. I did consider putting Twilight Princess as number 12, but the truth is I never played it on GameCube. I played it on Switch.
But so yeah.
I just felt a little weird being like, hey, I don't know if I really love Twilight Princess. Like I liked it more than the Wind Waker.
I liked it more than probably your number 12 game.
Beautiful Joe?
Well, I mean, I like Beautiful Joe a lot too, so I'd probably put Beautiful Joe higher and drop some other games, but...
If I had done like a top 20 list, I'm sure the Zeldas and Mario Sunshine would have made it. They're just like, they're lower tier in the series for me.
Yeah, agreed.
But it's an interesting list because it's like, doesn't really have a big Mario platformer or a big Zelda game where other Nintendo top lists would.
So just so I remember, is Prime 1 is 4, and then Prime 2 is 4. Or sorry, Prime 1 is 1, and Prime 2 is 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Where would you put Corruption?
Well, Corruption's a Wii game.
I know. I'm just thinking, where would you put it in, like, if you had a, let's say it was a GameCube game, you had to throw it in this list.
That's a good question. I'd probably put it after Resident Evil and in between Resident Evil and SSX 3. So it'd be like number 8.
So you still like? I didn't know how much you liked Metroid Prime 3.
I like it a lot. I mean, it's the only Metroid Prime game I've never played again. I found the pacing to be a bit odd when you go to different planets and like it feels more linear than other Metroids.
It feels very segmented as opposed to like a giant world that weaves together.
Yeah, and I wasn't super fond of like the story and the Galactic Federation and the other hunters. Like I like my Metroid games to be more minimalist
Or isolating, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, it might be even lower than that. I'd have to replay it, but I did play like the first chunk of it on was it Wii U, the remaster? And it's still like a really good, beautiful, detailed game. I love the way Retro details their environments. We're gonna have to eventually, Derek, do our Switch top Switch games.
Oh yeah, we should. We should do that. You know what we should do, Peter? Is we should do that in between the Switch 2 Direct and when the Switch 2 comes out. Like, as a nice,
I agree, because I think when we find out what's happening with Metroid Prime 4, I might just kind of consider it a Switch 2 game. Like,
yeah.
Because, this gets us into our little bit of Nintendo news here and some of the news we have. Someone from the channel Kiwi Talks, have you heard about this?
I probably heard the news, but not the person.
So there's a channel called Kiwi Talks, and it's this guy, I don't quite know.
Oh, is this the guy that talked about Metroid Prime 4?
Yes, but they interview a lot of staff, and they have really great interviews with like ex-Retro employees, and it's like, I love this channel because it gives you like this insight into the development of Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 2. And so I believe someone from Kiwi Talks said Metroid Prime 4 is going to blow us away, and it's going to blow away every single other game shown in the April 2nd Direct.
So I mean, that's pretty sweet. I don't know if I'd fully trust that, but that's pretty sweet.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, so some random New Zealand developer has like seen the new 3D Mario. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I mean. Like, it's one thing if like I can see maybe he interviewed someone and someone say, yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is gonna be amazing or something. But for him to know the whole direct and say it's gonna blow everything out, like he's just a fanboy, you know?
Totally. But it does hype me up.
Me too. Oh, me too. I'm stoked.
It's hard to think it's going to be that visually impressive if it's still on the Switch.
Yeah, but you got to think about how big of a leap Metroid Prime 1 to Metroid Prime 1 Remastered was. I really have faith that if they spent so many years working on this game, it's going to look phenomenal.
But I just think like the scope can only be so big with the CPU of the Switch.
Of course, it's still going to be it's not going to be, Witcher 3 as far as graphics.
Which is on Switch.
True, but it looks like kind of crap. Like, I'm just saying it's going to still be I don't know what the word is, like kind of gamey. Like, it's going to still feel like, there's walls you can't get over, and it's kind of a structured, and there's going to be rooms, and there's going to be like load time on elevators. Like, I think it's still going to be very much what the other games are, what the Switch power can give it. So yeah. I wouldn't expect, watching it and going, yeah, this game's going to be as mind-blowing as, I'm trying to think of a first-person game similar. Like, I don't know. But it's not going to blow us away in the sense of it's not PS5, but it will be probably the best game on the Switch by a mile.
I'm just wondering if there's a possibility they straight up say it's only coming to Switch 2. I
think that's a reality, but I'm not sure they'll do that. I think it's a reality, but they've been spent so many years making it now for the Switch.
It seems odd to me that they would... Yeah, but they could have been, for the last 2 years, been working on the Switch 2 kind of version.
But here's why I think that's weird is, why would you show the Metroid Prime 4 at all then before the Switch 2 is announced?
I agree. I mean, I think that pretty much confirms it's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
But I think it goes without saying, like, there's got to be some sort of...
Hopefully there's going to be a Switch 2. There's going to be a Switch 2 version that's better quality and better frame rate.
Well, I'm not so... Do you think that they'll make the game run in 30 frames on Switch?
Honestly,
Or still
I think
target 60?
I honestly think it'll be 30 on Switch.
Wow. Okay, then it would be a significant jump on Switch too. I'm very curious how that one's going to roll out. I'm very excited about it.
Me too. Yeah.
Um,
I can't believe
another-
the direct is in 2 weeks.
I know. I can't believe we're going to get a new Mario Kart and Metroid Prime this year. Like that's insane to me.
I forget who was that you that I was talking to. I said there's it was one of my friends. I said there are 3 goals in life right now. Now like there's some chaotic stuff happening in the world. I said 3 goals. Number 1, make it to the Switch 2 direct. And then number 2, outlive my dog, and number 3, outlive my wife.
Why do you want to outlive your wife?
I don't mean that in a dark way. I meant that like live a long life with them and like don't die before I get to have my whole life with them is what I meant. But I guess I phrased that weirdly.
Yeah, like I want to outlive my wife. Like
The joke
okay.
is that's missing the joke. The joke is that the Switch 2 direct is monumental to me.
I just hope I get to live to play one more 3D Zelda game. Because
that's how you measure your life. Is
well, it could be like 7 or 8 years away, and then 7 or 8 years away from that is 16 years. Like I'm pretty much 60 years old by then. I'll be dying.
You're not 60 years old.
I'll be pushing it.
That is kind of crazy though, eh? Like in 6 or 7 years, like yeah, to be nearing or in our 40s playing the next Zelda is wild.
Like it's crazy to think that by the time the next Switch comes out, I will be probably closer to 50 than 40.
How old are you now?
Switch 3.
37?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe. I might be like...
Yeah, you'll be like 44, 43.
Yeah. I mean, unless we're counting like the OLED and the light Switch 2. And all that
But I mean, the Switch did last 7-8 years, so...
8 years it'll be.
Yeah.
More.
It's just past
wild.
8 years.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't see the Switch 2 going that long, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Another big leaker who he's got some credibility. He didn't leak, but he predicted Metroid Dread before it was announced for Switch, and he also predicted a new Mario and Luigi. He came out. He's some Spanish guy, and he came out and said the next Donkey Kong won't leave you indifferent. That's his literal quote. And then he said again, people were asking him a question. He goes, "It depends on what each person expects, but for me, this is a good way it's happening." And then he also said he doesn't expect it to be shown on April 2nd. So, interesting. When he says it won't leave you indifferent, meaning it'll leave some sort of impact. It's not just Donkey Kong Country Returns 3.
It's going to be 3D open world. Maybe not open world, but it'll be 3. It'll be like... I actually think it'll be closer to Mario... I think it's Mario 3D World. Like level-based still, but... like isometric camera almost, where you have more control over the direction you go.
I would love that. I think it's like like almost like a more like Galaxy where it's 3D but more linear 3D stages.
Yeah.
I think it'll be more like almost like Crash Bandicoot where it's a mix of 2D and 3D and fixed camera, but not as slow paced as Mario. Like I think it'll be more like swinging and explosions and running as boulders chase you. I think it'll be like a faster paced platformer. I'm excited no matter what. I think it'll be.
I'm just surprised that he says he's kind of seen it and knows what it's about, and it's not going to be at the direct. Like, how does he have that information? First,
I mean, exactly.
Because usually when he leaks stuff, it's because it's going to be shown or known in the next 6 weeks, let's say.
And I think, realistically, this is not a game we're going to see this year. If it's not going to be in the Direct, I think, if anything, we'll see it in a fall Direct for next year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just think 3D Mario is definitely what they're going to want to have happen.
Yeah, I think Mario Kart, and I can see Donkey Kong being shown as like an early 2026 game.
Yep. Or like May 2026.
Yeah, I was thinking April, yeah.
But I agree. I think this one's a little bit hard to believe. Like, Nintendo doesn't have leaks. And for these kind of people to be leaking stuff, it just seems like... It's one thing to leak Metroid Dread like a few weeks before E3 when like all of Treehouse in North America and they've been translating it. It's like been part of their promo materials. Like this is a whole different thing of being like, hey, I've seen the new Donkey Kong. It'll blow you away. And it's not, you're not going to see it for months and months. It's like, okay.
I also take a really big grain of salt when it's one thing if someone says, hey, this game is coming. And then 3 weeks later we hear about the game. It's another thing to say, hey, the franchise that there's another game going to eventually come. It's really good. It's like you didn't say anything. Like I could go online and say, guys, just so you know, the next Mario, mind blowing, great platforming, and everyone's like, whoa, great platforming, mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, of course it's gonna be that. Like you can like someone to say the new Donkey Kong is indifferent or Metroid Prime 4 is gonna blow people away. It's like. Those are such obvious statements that anyone could make and then claim
like,
that they called it.
Hey, I'm an insider. There's going to be a new Animal Crossing on Switch 2.
Exactly. I've seen it. It's gonna be like, but then you'd say, I saw it, and there's a lot more furniture than the last game. You know what I mean? It's like
totally. Or I'll say something ambiguous, like it's going to go in a direction that will surprise some players.
Exactly.
But anyways, yeah, I don't hold much stock in these rumors. It's just fun, and I actually really hope nothing leaks from this direct. I hope we're completely surprised.
I think there's no way. I'm going to try to avoid being surprised, but I think there's no way to not get a leak.
I will see. I mean, Nintendo's being very tight-lipped about it.
The one thing I appreciate though is that it's playing in our time zone at 9 a.m. So it's not like we're waking up early or waking up and reading all day about different leaks and spoilers. It's like we're waking up and then like maybe an hour or two later, boom, it's there.
Yeah, but it'll be like day or two before where someone just leaks the whole thing. I mean, they did it with the Switch 1 reveal, if you remember.
Yeah.
They revealed that there was a game called ARMS, even, if I remember correctly. Like, they knew everything. But I think a lot of people are expecting a new game from the team that makes Xenoblade.
Monolith Soft?
Monolith Soft. Apparently, years ago, they had they were hiring for a game that was called Codename Legacy, I think. And it had like an image with some like medieval times type of like not medieval times, but like a medieval looking fantasy. And that was a long time ago. That was in like 2019. So I really, really expect that with the Switch 2, I think Xenoblade is going to take a big sleep, and I think we're going to see Monolith Soft do something completely fresh.
You think?
Yeah, I do. I don't think we're going to see Xenoblade 4 until maybe late in the Switch 2's life. But for one, it's not a massive franchise. It's just not. And they've gotten 1, 2, and 3 and Chronicles X on Switch, and those might get little up-reses on Switch 2, but I think they're going to pursue some other stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. Fair enough. And I don't necessarily... I mean, this is my own opinion. I feel like the Xenoblade franchise has become a bit aimless, and they don't quite have a definitive direction in the style they're going for. So I could see them kind of deviating to try something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've never been a huge fan of this series. I've only played number 1 and Chronicles X. By the way, Derek, reviews dropped today for Chronicles X, way higher than we expected.
Higher than the original, which is not what I expected at all.
Yeah, did you hear about that guy who sent the email to all the reviewers?
So I heard someone joke about an email, but I didn't know what the email said or what the story was.
So some like hardcore Xenoblade Chronicles X fan emailed like tons of reviewers and outlets, like probably over 100, and basically wrote them an email on advice on how to review the game. And basically just like making all these funny comparisons and being like, hey, if you reviewed Zelda for this factor, like you should also take that into consideration and not dock points for Xenoblade. Like it was very fanboy, like kind of like pathetic fanboyism.
Yeah.
You can read the whole review. People have shared it.
You mean the email? Yeah.
The email, yeah. And so people are like, hey, it worked. This email worked. But yeah, so I'm excited to get it, personally. I remember playing it on Wii U, and it's such a relaxing game to play. Just kind of like take a controller and run around the world. I really like it. So
yeah, like for me, I think I would like to get it, but I think I'm gonna wait for the Switch 2 and for maybe it to go on sale or something for a small discount. Because I want to play it. And it's a game that I think I would chill on the couch and like to play. But my Switch is just so old and running empty that it's like I don't want to start that game on the Switch when I could just wait 3 more months and play it on the Switch 2.
Yeah, I hear you. I think my concern is that I have one more voucher. I just don't know what to do with it. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo said it wouldn't work on the Switch 2.
Yeah, I think they said that too. People expect them to make a Switch 2 voucher, but this one won't work on it.
I know, because I expect Switch 2 to have a higher price. Games to be like $10 more.
Agreed. Yeah.
I also think though that I would be extremely annoyed if I bought Xenoblade Chronicles X and then in like a week and a half they're like, oh, and now and one of the games coming out for Switch 2 is Xenoblade Chronicles X Switch 2 edition. And it's like, god damn it.
Yeah, that would suck.
I feel like they wouldn't do that though. That's cruel, and there must be like an upgrade.
Yeah, Nintendo
path.
doesn't do that. Like that's blatantly like annoying.
There'd have to be. I mean, I know the Switch 2 will play Xenoblade Chronicles X, but if I'd pay $10 for the upgrade if there's like some sort of graphical boost or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it's kind of like if Switch 2 comes out, I kind of expect launch. I mean, at this point, I'm really predicting the launch is going to be Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart. And Metroid Prime 4 it's the kind of game that you can beat in 20 hours probably, and you're done with it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there won't be like another big mega AAA single player game on Switch 2 for a while, so I feel like Xenoblade will just become my kind of
What do you mean
go-to.
a while? Like till the holiday with Mario?
It's hard to say, yeah, because I think the Switch will come out in like June, and I don't think they'll have any major AAA hitter exclusives until like a 3D Mario in the holiday.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Like there might be like
Metroid, Mario Kart, one of those, some other random game, a couple of third parties, and then maybe another random party game 2 months later, 3 months later, and then Mario Kart or Mario. Yeah.
It'll be like a Mario Paint or a Switch Sports or some or a new fitness game with the Ring Fit, something like that.
And then Pokemon comes out in the holiday anyways, or is it January? Yeah.
Late 2025. It looks bad though.
Yeah. It's Pokemon.
And I also think we're gonna get some Switch 2 games. It's always been like Nate the Hate said we'd be seeing a Fire Emblem.
It's been a long time rumor.
Yeah. Also, we might see a Kirby Robobot game. So these will all be summer fillers and fall fillers. And then I also think we'll get Yoshi's Woolly World.
On the Switch.
On the Switch 2. It's the perfect crossover game to come out in the next year.
I still wish they put Metroid Prime 2 out.
I know, and at this point I almost feel like it's too late.
Agreed, yeah.
It's just too late. I think if anything we'll get like a Metroid Prime 2 like 2 years from now. You know what I mean? They'll just like shadow drop it.
Uh-huh.
I just think it's like too close to Metroid Prime 4. But who knows? Anyways, we've already done our speculation. There's another thing, not game related, but there was a controller patent that released to the FCC for a Nintendo controller for Switch 2, presumably, and has no NFC reader. So people are speculating it's the GameCube controller for NSO.
What's NFC?
And NFC is like the reader that you put your
Amiibos?
Amiibo on. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So people are because none of the classic controllers have that, but the Pro controllers do. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop it. Have they even confirmed NFC as a thing on Switch 2? Like, who needs it?
I'd be shocked if they stopped their Amiibos. Amiibos are a cash cow.
They don't sell that well anymore. They're phasing them out.
Are they?
Yeah, it's not like they're not popular anymore. I think like the Smash Bros ones are like the last ones we'll see. Full stop.
I think a new Smash Bros will bring Amiibos back to full life, but we'll see.
Maybe. I don't know. They only ever use the NFC reader for that. I'm sure it's a cheap component, but it wasn't in the N64 NSO controller or the Super Nintendo NSO controller. So that's why people are assuming it's a GameCube controller for Switch 2.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. On one hand, I don't want this to happen because it'll devalue my massive GameCube collection.
Well, you gotta remember there was a GameCube controller on other systems that also didn't have GameCube games.
You're right, and that's where I'm kind of like, okay, they already have the GameCube Smash Bros. Controller.
Yeah.
But if they re-release GameCube games on Switch, they do need that analog buttons on the shoulder buttons.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too, Peter, is sometimes when games come out on another system, it'll actually raise the value of your games.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, in the long run, it won't matter. Like, I think in the distant future, the more rare these games come, the more the collection will be worth. So I'm not really worried about it. Mm-hmm. But I just don't really... The hard thing with... This is another topic of discussion that's come up for the Switch 2, is like, the rumor and the leaks have led us to believe that the hard drive inside of it is 256 gigabytes. which is a lot more than the Switch the Switch has 32 gigabytes and the OLED Switch has 64 gigabytes internally. Of course, you can add more with a micro SD. But is that enough space? Because the other thing is like the hard drive itself has to be faster. It can't. A micro SD is not going to match the speed of this internal hard drive, which is rumored to be like a flash storage. So even if you popped in a 400 gigabyte micro SD into your Switch 2, then you'd have to copy the games to your 256 gig hard drive.
But I'm not sure that's the case, because I thought that people said it was only compatible with an Express micro SD.
Do we know that? Because an Express is faster. Is that why?
Yeah. I think someone said. I think people were looking into it and they said this. It looks like it's only Express micro SD.
Okay, I didn't know that. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But it's also begs the question: if there's only 256 gigabytes, that's going to be challenging for next generation games, or hell, current generation games like PS5 games, Assassin's Creed type games that are 100 gigabytes each. Oh,
they're gonna do the same. They're gonna do the same thing you do for the Switch, where it's 90% downloaded.
I know, but that's
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
That's the challenge, and also, will Switch games play off the card? You know what I mean? Like, is that? I guess potentially, right?
I think they're going to be all Express SD, and they will play. And I think, honestly, Nintendo doesn't care whether third-party games come to them of that size. They don't... Like, the Switch did insanely well. It didn't have GTA 5. You know? It didn't have some of those big games. It does extremely well without those games. So I think they're going to have bigger games, but not necessarily as big as we expect from current-gen PS5 and Xbox Series X.
My point is that where the Switch 1 came out, and we had like Zelda was 12 gigabytes and Mario Kart was 5 gigabytes or whatever. I think Nintendo, the sizes will still be relatively small. Like a Mario Kart might be 10 gigabytes than Mario Kart 9. But I still would expect that if someone's buying a Switch 2 and buying, let's say, Call of Duty and Final Fantasy VII Remake, they might be sitting there with 3 games on their hard drive.
But I think there's going to be an SD. Like, I guarantee there's going to be a 2 terabyte Express SD card that exists.
You're right. Yeah. There's already
it'll be $500 or whatever it is, but it'll exist.
Yeah. And that also makes me wonder, like, if people are worried that GameCube on NSO won't work for that reason because, you know, GameCube discs were 1.5 gigabytes. Nintendo never released a 2-disc game, so all Nintendo first-party games would be 1.5 gigabytes. And if they throw 30 games on there, that's, 45 gigabytes. But that doesn't seem that unreasonable if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It does eat a lot of that hard drive up, but
you got to also think about it this way though. I have a PS5. I think it's 750. I can't remember what the actual size is. Maybe it's 500. And I have like 6 games on. Like, and it's full. I have to delete games constantly and add new games. Like, it's kind of the reality of game sizes and hardware space being expensive.
You're right.
Like,
I mean, even on my phone, all the apps that show up on my home screen aren't actually there, and I have to download them if I want to use them.
Really?
I have a very low, the lowest iPhone you can buy. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like with GameCube's this odd position where, for one, they need a weird control mechanism, like games like Luigi's Mansion and Mario Sunshine, and they won't really work unless they go with analog triggers with Switch 2, which we don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe it's an analog trigger with a click at the end, like the GameCube. I hope so. And it just seems like with games like Paper Mario, and they're into remastering Sunshine and remastering Luigi's Mansion and Metroid Prime. Is there really a point of GameCube?
I personally don't think I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be a GameCube controller. I don't think there's going to be a GameCube in that sense. I think GameCube games will still exist. And some of them will be ported over as remasters. Some will be remakes and as a brand new game. But I don't think we're going to see like GameCube online.
I agree with you. Because there's only as much as I love the GameCube library, there's only a handful of games that really, in the first party catalog, that I'd really want ported anyways. You know what I mean? Like, So I guess we'll see. And I just would rather play them on the original controller. So maybe that controller is like a something to do with Mario Paint or something to do with a new Ring Fit Adventure or something like that.
Yeah, or it could honestly just be a new Pro controller, and NFC is gone.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, NFC having NFC on the Pro controller seems like a waste, anyways, when it was on the console itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. The more I think about what you said about the amiibos, I wouldn't be surprised if amiibos still existed as like a collectible, but the NFC feature is just gone.
Yeah, I mean, you're right because it's there's not a ton of games that really used it,
And the way they used it was very like shallow.
and it seemed to upset a lot of people. Yeah. Well, anyways, we're gonna know all the Switch 2 stuff so soon. I can't wait for it. It's like literally 2 weeks away.
Yeah, yeah, I'm freaking stoked.
So our listeners, wait for our podcast on April 2nd. It's gonna come that day.
Yeah, that
Are you
evening.
are you working that day, Dirk, or are you able to take work off?
I'm working that day.
Why can you not take it off? Holiday?
I'm not taking a day off for a 40-minute direct at the start of the day.
How do you know it's gonna be 40 minutes? It could be like 2 hours.
It's gonna be a 2-hour direct.
3 hour Nintendo-thon.
I'm betting it'll be 40 minutes tops.
Are you? So you're not gonna be able to watch it then if it starts at 9. You'll be at work.
No, so in the morning I pick my own schedule for like when I see students. So I just booked that time off. I booked from 9 to 10 off, saying I'm busy.
Okay. Well, that does bring up another question. Like, how long do you think this direct's gonna be? You said 40 minutes.
I hope it's not in 2 hours. I only booked an hour, so I figured 9 to 9:45 or 9:43 or whatever it is. That's kind of usually what their directs are these days, like the meaty ones.
Yeah, but they have a whole console to show off. They have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I just don't. I can't see them thinking they'd rather show less games and fill it only to 40, 45 minutes. They will not go beyond that. I could see maybe like a 52-minute thing. They're not going to go for 70 minutes. That's ridiculous.
How long was the Switch 1 unveiling? Wasn't it 90 minutes?
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it was more than an hour.
Well, we'll find out. If it is, then I'll be sick that day.
I think it's going to be under an hour and a half, but over either at 1 hour or over an hour. Like it'll be an hour and 10.
I'm sick of my 45 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see, because at the end of the day, you're right. They could literally be like, here's the console for 15, 20 minutes, and here's like a 3-minute trailer for Metroid Prime 4. The release date is this, and enjoy the hands-on preview event immediately after the show, where you're going to get more information. So, like, they could do it that way, where they don't need to deep dive into the game.
Even 40 minutes, Peter, they could show a game for 5 minutes, another game for 5 minutes, another game for 5 minutes, show a console for 20 minutes, and another sizzle reel for 8 minutes, and you're still at 45 minutes. Showing a trailer for 5 minutes alone is a long game.
Yeah, it's true. I just feel like they're going to have to do a lot of talk about price, about the online, NSO, how it deals with...
Their price is going to be... Their price is literally going to be, I know what you're thinking about, the price of the Switch. And it is $4.99. Like it's gonna be so. It's not gonna be like, oh, let's spend 8 minutes dissecting the price in the deep. You gotta remember.
I don't think they're gonna say that. I think if anything, it'll open with like a big trailer, like another CG-ish reveal trailer for Switch 2, and then at the end it'll just have the price. It'll just be like price plus date, and then they won't even talk about it or mention it. It'll just be there on a PNG file image showing you the date and the price, and then they'll just get onto the games, and that's it.
I think that'll be at the very end of anything, but yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I really think it's going to be longer than 40 minutes because even with like the mouse controls, they're going to want to talk about it and demo it, and they're going to want to like show off its use case. And
yeah, but to really me, again, that's still like 5 to 7 minutes. You still have 38 more minutes to like. Things do not go that long anymore. Like you might be right, but
think of it this way: like they're gonna if every game was shown for 2 minutes, that only leaves 40 games, or sorry, 20 games.
20 games is a frig load, Peter.
But they're not going to show. They're going to show more about 20 games, I bet,
You think they're going to show 20 games for 2 minutes each? Are you crazy?
No, I know. I think if anything, there'll be a handful of those games where they're shown for 3 or 4 minutes, and then there'll be sizzle reels where we're seeing 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. So like, but I think there's going to be a good at least 10 games that we get some look at that's more than a sizzle reel.
I hard disagree.
Oh, I don't think so, Derek. I think we're going to see things like, hey, Sega's here.
Sorry, let me rephrase. I could see us seeing 10 games, but I could see, three or four of them maybe being 4 minutes, then 8 of them being 40 seconds, and then a sizzle reel for another 10.
Okay, but that's eating up a lot of time if we have to talk about backwards compatibility
even
console.
Even still, that's 20 minutes.
Well, no matter how short or long it is, it's not long enough. Okay.
Yeah. I hope that. Do you think there's going to be like a Nintendo Live Treehouse or whatever after?
I think it's
because they're going to they're doing like actual shows pretty soon, where they're going to like different countries to show it off, right? So
yeah, when's the first one? Like April 15th?
Something like that, yeah, or April 20th.
Yeah, I think they probably will do some sort of hands-on event. I think if anything, it'll be like for press only, and it might include like them allowed to release videos for it, so they'll like be able to have it. Like you'll see previews dropping that very day. Like people will have hands-on with Mario Paint, Mario Kart, Metroid Prime. Like they're gonna want journalists and like influencers to talk about it. So moving on from Nintendo for a sec here. Did you watch this Death Stranding 2 trailer, Derek?
I did not. I'm still considering playing the first one, and I heard there's a lot of spoilers for both games.
Okay, I didn't watch the trailer either. It's 10 minutes long. Apparently, it's really good.
Yeah, I go back and forth of wanting to play it. It's still on my list of games to maybe go back and play, but it's just like the gameplay loop is just not my thing. But I'm intrigued by the story.
Okay, yeah,
and the production value.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this new one's gonna be great. It comes out in June, so I think it'll be a nice big PS5 exclusive.
I just have other games I'd rather play instead that are coming around the same time too.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll be busy with Metroid Prime 4 and 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So Derek, just touching on our Game of the Year list that came out last week or 2 weeks ago. I was pretty surprised that Astrobot did not make your list.
Oh, I forgot about Astrobot.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised about that. I mean, especially considering Zelda was on the list, and I'm surprised Factorio is number 1 considering it's not really from this year.
The expansion is.
Yeah, but come on.
Why is Elden Ring allowed?
I wouldn't have said. I mean, you're free to include whatever you want, but for me, if I'm gonna, I don't know.
I think both those games are welcome to be included. I would put Astrobot probably in the top 7. I probably put it like number. I don't know what the list top of my head, but it would be up there. I totally forgot about that game.
Okay. Yeah, I also found that like it's funny because on yours, you're like bottom of your list. You're like very negative about. Like it's almost like you're justifying why it's not higher. Like Zelda was good.
It's like it is like to me. It's like it is still a really good game, but I'm like the thing is I only played like 13 games total from 2024. So to be 10 isn't very high.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, I only included 6 games on my list, but I wasn't going to put like World of Goo 2 on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, I would have, but World of Goo 2 didn't make the list because it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Did you find my list surprising, or was it kind of obvious?
Yours is pretty obvious. I was surprised by your actual Game of the Year winner. Not that I could think of something that would beat it, but I'm surprised that Indy won.
I was surprised too. I really didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I kind of played it reluctantly. Like I played it a month late, downloaded it, played it reluctantly, and it just hooked me. What can I say?
Yeah, I definitely want to give it a go. I'm contemplating selling my Xbox. Actually, we'll talk about that some other time. But I'm thinking of maybe selling it. Yeah, I just don't. It's a waste.
How much money do you think you can get for it?
Probably like $400-$500.
$500 for an Xbox?
Probably with 2 controllers for sure.
Wow. I mean, here's my problem with me is I can't sell my Xbox because it has a broken disc drive. Maybe I could trade it into the EB Games.
They'll never check that for sure. You can.
Yeah, maybe I should
To
do
me,
that.
I just my Game Pass has lapsed, and I have no interest in getting up again. Every game it sounds like is going to come to the PS5, and if I sell it for $400, I figure that's 10 games at $40, which is the discount. Let's say a discount price of $40. It's 10 games. I probably wouldn't have bought those. Like I wouldn't play more than 10 games on Game Pass anyways. And my biggest pet peeve is got frickin' burnt by Lies of P, so I'm super annoyed by that.
Why'd you get burnt by it?
Because I played it on Game Pass, and now that the DLC is coming out this year, guess what game just left Game Pass?
Oh dang.
So
Well,
so what?
you lose your save file?
My friend said there might be a way to actually transfer the save file to the PS5. So I'm tempted to actually transfer it, sell my Xbox, get Lies of P for PS5. But otherwise, like, what am I supposed to do? Buy the whole game now to play the DLC, or not play the DLC at all? Like, it's kind of a stupid situation. So
I mean, if I were you, I'd try to find a used copy on PS5, and hopefully you don't need to beat the game. You can just play it again. Like
like my friend said, there was a way to transfer like over a USB stick the save file, and it actually will transfer over for the PlayStation. I don't know if that's true. I have to read more into that. But yeah, I'd like to find a used copy and just do that.
Yeah. So here's my thing: is I actually just canceled my Game Pass because I'm like,
like actually cancel because mine just lapsed and I didn't restart it.
no, I just kind of set it so it didn't auto resubscribe.
Okay, yeah, same as mine.
So I had got out of my when we got that cheap deal. I'm not in that anymore, so it was like charging me like 20 something bucks a month. And I was kind of like, you know what? When I'm done Indiana Jones, I'm gonna move on to PS5 and Switch 2. And I'm like, I just don't have the time to like pay for this in game on the Xbox.
That's how I feel.
The only hard thing is I was playing a lot of Minecraft, and I bought it for Switch, and like I had it on two TVs, right? I had it on Xbox and Switch. So it's kind of like a way to play multiplayer Minecraft at my place. But I think I'm gonna keep my Xbox just because I actually don't think you're gonna get $400 or $500 for it. I think you'll get like $300, and also maybe not. Maybe with the controllers you will, but also Game Pass is still kind of worth it. Like just the thought that later this year I can pay $20, and in that 1 month I can play Doom, I can play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and like whatever else Microsoft has. It's not that bad of a deal. And like last holiday playing,
But to me, I want to own those games. I'd rather wait for those games to be $15, $30 and buy them and own them.
See, I don't. The only things I care to own are like retro Nintendo games. I don't care to own anything.
I don't really. I don't. But again, I don't necessarily care to own them. But I like to have the game where I can play them all the time. I hate subscriptions with a passion, and the idea of renting things really pisses me off. I just don't like that whole. I don't like that system, and I refuse. I refuse to participate in that.
Fair. To me, I just like a game like Indiana Jones. I just don't care enough to own it. And if one day in the deep future I want to revisit it, I'll do it for half the price on a better system. You know, like I just don't. To me, I just enjoy the experience. And same with I don't care about Doom enough for that. And I just figure same with Call of Duty, the odd month to pay $25 to catch up on some games seems all right. Or if Xbox is like a real banger at some point. But it goes without saying, I'm not going to buy Xbox next generation. They've just flopped hard. But the Game Pass really has been a good deal.
Yeah, I don't regret having done it and having the money, but like now I'm at the point where it's like, well, I'm not even gonna get Game Pass to play the exclusive games to Xbox because they're like I honestly think about Gears of War, the what's the word? The
E-Day.
remaster. No, not E-Day.
Is that announced yet? Is that already announced?
There's speculations that it is going to be announced and coming in June or something. And I'm like, well, that would be really fun to play, but all of my friends are going to want to play it on PS5. So I'd rather just get it on the PS5 and play it there.
Yeah, to me, it's like the cost of buying that game is 4 months of Game Pass. So if I'm going to buy 2 games, I could just pay for Game Pass for practically the whole year.
Yeah, but I also, that's what I agree, and I thought about that. But even still, I think with Lies of P, that's money I have to spend if I'm going to play it. And the second thing is, I have to calculate the cost of the system. If I sell the system now and get $400 for it, that's 10 games that I could play, minimum.
Yeah, I don't wonder if I don't just return mine to EB Games, get the store credit, and then like spend it on Switch 2.
That's exactly. Honestly, that's actually a great idea. Maybe I will do that and just put all that money to the Switch too.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually, because my Xbox is broken anyways. Screw EV games. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been annoying, and you know what? I'm just gonna rant about Xbox here for a sec. I hate the user interface. I
it's
hate it.
terrible. I hate the controller.
One of my controllers has such bad drift, has worse drift than I've ever experienced. Like in any first person shooter, you're always gonna start looking down. It's
Yeah, that's
brutal.
terrible.
It's
Yeah.
like you have to hold the look up. The UI constantly, I turn it on. The what's it called where it goes back to the game in the same spot? Like you quit a game and come back, it should start in the same spot.
Nope.
It's called game. There's some name they gave for it where it's like you can stop.
Oh. Do you mean quick resume?
Quick resume. It's freaking broken. It's never worked. And literally,
Yeah.
was playing Indiana Jones. Okay, I beat this like challenging spot. I was like, oh, paused it. I was gonna do something else. Come back. Xbox is auto turned off. Okay, turn it back on. No quick resume. Has to reload the spot. I have to go from before that spot. It took me another like 20 minutes to get past it.
Yeah,
So it's like
frustrating.
that's really annoying. I also find the settings to be like Windows-esque annoying. For me to get my surround, like, this is another thing I've looked up as a problem with Xbox. The frickin' sync of the audio is off. And I never noticed this until I played Indiana Jones. And I'm like, you know what? I just assumed half the game the voices were out of sync. Because I'm like, oh, they didn't line up the characters' mouths. Then I go online, and this is like a known problem. You have to go and reset all your audio settings to make it work.
Yeah. It's
So I
annoying.
reset it, now it's in sync. It's like, okay. And then I turn on, a few weeks later, it's out of sync again. Okay, reset. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
terrible.
Like, that doesn't happen on the other systems. And it's like, it's got all these weird options where it's like, for me to get surround sound, I still have to put it to stereo mode. I just don't quite get it. So yeah, you're right. Like, I don't care about Doom and Tony Hawk enough to not get $400. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like you're not going to eventually probably play the Doom game, but you'll probably play it for $25 on PS5, or you can borrow it from me, or you can get it on the Switch. Like, there's just no reason to do it, you know?
yeah, and I mean, the only game I'm really looking forward to from Xbox is the new Perfect Dark. I can't really think of anything else. Like, I probably wouldn't play Fable.
But I guarantee those games are coming to PS5. Guaranteed.
Yeah, and for all the costs, I might as well just buy it, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Hell, if you buy it and then sell it later, you get a lot of value back for it. But anyways, yeah. So Derek, moving on. What have you been playing?
So I beat Stellar Blade.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me.
Yeah. And I 100% it's Slay the Spire, which is quite an older game.
Wow.
So I decided that I was gonna play Silent Hill 2. Last week was my March break. I was gonna play Silent Hill 2, but I just wasn't in the like. My wife was working evenings, so I was hanging out with my dog in the evenings. I just didn't want to go in the basement and have to watch her while also playing Silent Hill. And Silent Hill is one of those games like you want to play when it's dark. You want to play on the big screen with headphones and just kind of like be immersed in it. So instead of playing that, I got Ender Magnolias, which is the sequel to Ender
sequel.
Lilies.
How is it?
And love it. I mean, it's a great Metroidvania. It's like, I would say on the same level as like Prince of Persia. As like it's really good. It doesn't hit quite the highs of like some really great Metroidvanias, but it's really really good. I'm enjoying it a lot. And the other game I've been playing is since beating Slay the Spire, I was still having an itch to play more like card roguelike games. So I looked up what are the most popular card games, and this game called Monster Train, which came out in I think 2021 or 2022. And super fun. So I've been like kind of grinding that game out on the couch, and Ender Magnolias. Both great games.
Nice.
How about you, Pete? What have you been playing?
Well, I like I said, I finished Indiana Jones. Loved it. Yeah, I'm just gonna say with Indiana Jones though, it's part of my review. The game is a little. You like Dishonored, right?
Love Dishonored.
And it's the same developer, so I think you're gonna like the feel of this a lot. But it is a little bit.
It's not the same developer.
I thought it was Machine Games.
So no, Dishonored is made by Arcane Leon or Arcane.
You're right.
And Machine Games made Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein. You're right, but I'll just say the game has a little bit of jank to it.
But that's okay. That same. I played all the Wolfensteins. I know exactly what you're talking about with the jank. That's fine.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of like it's really ambitious in what it's trying to do by basically giving you like big open sandbox style levels.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, it's like there's times where it's like, no, you're just not supposed to be able to run and jump up that. It's just like a little bit awkward how it all works. But man, it's there's just nothing else like it. And the cool thing is that now that I've beaten the game, they kind of give you the opportunity you can do this anytime, but they're like, oh, you can now go back to all the sandbox levels you played and like do all the side missions. And I have been doing a little of that. It's really fun to find out, like, kind of really explore them with depth. And like it is one of those games where by the end you're upgraded yourself. It's a little bit of light RPG upgrading, and you're just better at the game. So you kind of know how to like. It's like you're masterful with the AI. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just fun, like to like. It becomes a different game a little bit. But just a really superb game, and like the story, the voice acting, it just feels like I loved the movies, and this game just nails the story and the vibe, and but yeah, there's a little jank. Like, let me give you an example of a real true jank that I found, because I'm always trying to.
Okay.
So the cutscenes are in real time, right? So you can move the analog stick and like look around in the cutscene. You know how some games do that?
Yep.
So there's one particular shot in a cutscene where it's like I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is not in game. This is an FMV. This is a pre-rendered. Basically, it's like a cloud rolling over the sky. And so I move the analog stick, and it's like, as soon as you move the analog stick, you just like see the square of that pre-rendered video, and you see off it. I'm like, okay, like I just like I don't know, like this is just something that a really really polished game wouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
But the game is just clearly the scope is it. They're trying to do something really really big with it, and I just can't recommend enough, Derek. I don't. You might play me like, it's a little too janky and there's a little too much trial and error, but it's just got this really good sense of adventure and exploration and.
No, it's like one of the games I want to play the most right now. I think I'm gonna wait and get the PS5 version and wait for it to be cheap, but I hope and plan to play it this year.
Yeah, and I think the PS5 version will probably have better, like the controls will be better, right, with the adaptive rumble and stuff.
Oh yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah,
which I really like. So I finished that, and now I've been playing. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of GameCube, Smash Bros, like a lot of retro games. But I moved on to playing Silent Hill 2. So I just played for an hour before this podcast. I'm probably about 2 hours into it. I really like it so far. It's really good. Like I'm playing on all the normal settings, so I'm not doing like hard difficulty or easy. It's just the normal, the default, and I'm like already low on life a lot, and it's quite creepy. It's very guided.
How far are you?
Like 2 hours in. I mean, it's basically the intro.
Okay, because I've been playing. I played it a bit too, right?
Okay, like I don't have a gun yet. Do you?
Oh yeah, I'm much further than you.
Okay, you're much further than me. So I guess here's where I'm at with it. Like it's really good, but it feels a little closer to something like what's that game with all the rats called? Requiem's Tale or something?
A Plague Tale.
Plague Tale. It feels a little closer to that than something that's truly, I don't know, like something closer to like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit guided, and I don't know how I'm gonna gel with it. Like, yeah, like I really like it so far, but part of me feels like going back and getting a PS2 and playing Silent Hill 2, the original on it, would be so much scarier and more atmospheric and like better.
I mean, I've had moments where like it is a little bit, it's pretty scary. But I know what you're saying. Like, it does feel a little bit linear and feels like, oh, I'm just kind of following the track of where it wants me to go. You'll notice that in the second kind of area. I'm like, oh, I can't just like go in every room in this building. I have to actually follow exactly the path they want me to go through.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I think it's very atmospheric. And every time I go online, people say it gets more and more scary, more and more like dreadful the further you play.
Yeah. And I will say the visual style, and also I'm playing with surround sound. The music and sound design is fantastic. But I guess it's just hard coming off of something like, I don't know, Indiana Jones really, where it's like, okay, I can walk into a room and I can like pick up so many different things in this room as an item. And there's all these rooms and buildings I can go in that have nothing to do with the main quest, and you can just kind of like openly explore. Where
Yeah.
going to this game feels a little bit like a shock. Where like, oh, I'm kind of back into like more like a linear controlled. Like, oh, I can break some windows, but it's not like I can go around like in The Last of Us and like go into a random building and open a bunch of drawers and like see if I can find bullets. Like maybe that comes later, but it feels a little bit guided, if you will.
No, totally agree. And the thing too is I think of like The Last of Us, where your exploration I felt was better rewarded. Like, oh, I could actually find a part to a gun, or I could find something that actually gives me a real upgrade. Where this game, you'll learn everything you do will result in two upgrades, not upgrades, two things: bullets or life. Like, there's nothing else there. So it's a little bit like, okay, like I don't know.
Yeah,
If
it's
that
like
makes sense.
it's like if you are like you're loaded up with ammo and life, you might as well not explore. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, I am enjoying it. It's just it feels like a smaller game to me than some of these other games. So it's not. It's just not quite that.
I
It
mean,
doesn't feel like that AAA experience.
but it's definitely not a remake like Resident Evil 4 remake, right? It's not trying to make the scope bigger and modernize it. It's trying to keep it to the original.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying it. I'm just finding it hard to believe that Silent Hill 2 got like such higher reviews than Indiana Jones. It's kind of like what?
Yeah. I haven't played
But
them, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm gonna restrain myself on Xenoblade Chronicles X until I beat Silent Hill 2. I gotta stay on a one game at a time kick here.
But is that kind of what you're saying? Is after Silent Hill, your next game will be Xenoblade?
Yeah, like I think I'm gonna really try to crush Silent Hill 2 in the next 3 weeks. Like I don't think it's a super long game.
No, I don't think so either.
So and then maybe I'll be playing Xenoblade through the spring, like while I'm waiting for Switch 2. You know,
Yep.
because I can't think of the next game I'm gonna buy other than Xenoblade. Like nothing else really excites me right now. I don't. What about you, Derek? What's your next game like that's coming out that you want to buy?
I think as far as buy would be probably Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
In April, right?
Yeah, and then let me look at my list real quick.
Like, does that game look good? Did that game look kind of cheesy to me?
That game looks amazing to me. Like, and people are online are saying it's like people that have actually played it, like the previews from like all the streamers have like said it's really good.
Huh.
So I think that's gonna do well. I'm not gonna get Elden Ring. Yeah, honestly, Claire Obscure, and then probably Doom.
Yeah, I don't know if
Again,
I'm really...
I don't know if I'm gonna get Doom. I wouldn't get Doom day one probably, and Claire Obscure is a maybe just to support an indie game. But I had a lot of backlog games I'm gonna probably get around to playing, and then the Switch 2 obviously. So I don't know if I'm gonna buy. I'm not like looking at buying full price games these days.
Is Claire Obscura a full price game?
No, it's like $49.99 or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the same way. Like, I mean, other than my voucher for, because it feels like it's free, I'm going to get that. But I don't see myself buying a lot of full price games this year that are not like, maybe I'll buy like 3 or 4 Switch 2 games. I just don't really have the time anymore to like crush games.
That's exactly how I feel. Like the Switch
Sad.
2,
I wish I
a couple
did.
of games, and then maybe clear a couple of backlog games, and then like maybe 2 or 3 other games this year. Like even the games that have come out, like I guess Split Fiction. I got Split Fiction, haven't played it yet.
I really want it, but I just feel like I'll wait till it's cheaper and I have the real opportunity to play it with someone, which I don't.
I was gonna say the other thing is if I play it with Sarah, which is the kind of the original goal. After that, I'll play it with you, and you don't have to get it at all. It's free for you.
But I have to play it in person with you, right?
No, it's free. I can give you the friend pass, and you can play for free.
If we play you and me, do we both have the full screen together, or do we share a split screen still?
It's the game's designed around having a split screen, so you have to
I'll always see your screen.
It'll be exactly like we're on a couch together.
Oh, that's cool. I'm into that. Okay, that's a good way to do it because I heard the game's a lot harder than It Takes Two, and I don't think I really have someone to play with.
Like I'm worried about Sarah. I want to give it a chance with her. But yeah, if not, I'll play with you.
Yeah, I'm really, that game looks awesome. But yeah, just not a ton of time to play tons of games.
Yeah, like again, it's scrolling everything else on the list that's come out this year, and nothing interests me.
Yeah, I mean, unless like I don't know. I mean,
No, I mean past games. Future games, there's a couple, but in the past, like, there's nothing that's already come out that even... Like, I hope Silk Song comes out. That's really the big game I want to get.
April 2nd, we'll know.
Yeah, I hope so.
I also kind of am interested in playing Ninja Gaiden 4. If it turns out good. That comes out this holiday.
Yeah, I've never played them, so I'd have to look more into that. But, yeah.
Okay, Derek, last question before we go, because we're running out of time. The number 3 things you really hope that happen on April 2nd of the Switch unveiling. Like 3 announcements that you would just be so happy about and surprised and excited.
Honestly, one would be Silk Song. Whether it comes out the day the Switch 2 does or just a release date, Silk Song is up there.
Yep.
Number 2 would be... this is gonna sound crazy. A Smash Bros. Just like even a trailer saying there's another one in the works right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like Sakurai's making another one, something like that. And then number 3 would be, oh god, there's so many. I guess like just seeing Metroid Prime 4 and confirming like how amazing it is.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah.
I mean, my 3 that I wrote down. One was just the system launching before the end of June. So we're not waiting that long. I'm dreading them being like this fall. You know what I mean?
I think it'll be sooner than that.
Same. But I really hope that it's May or June. I've seen the date May 15th floated around as like a leak/hope speculation. But I also I hope Metroid Prime 4 is at launch. That's a big one. My second one is a 3D open world Mario game.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's time for Mario.
I love Mario. I just haven't. I don't love Mario the same level as you do, so that excites me. But it wouldn't be my top 3. Like number 5.
I think they're going to try to make Mario have its Breath of the Wild moment here, a big paradigm shift. Like it's the next big thing. I think they're going to take all the feedback they got from all the previous Mario games, and it's going to be great.
And what they learned with Zelda, honestly.
Yeah, and you got to think like that team has been working on it all generation. Like they haven't released anything since Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Like they literally, I think it was a different team that worked on Bowser's Fury even. So like that Mario team has been cooking.
It's probably gonna get a 98 or something.
Yeah. And my third thing that would surprise me, and I hope to see, is just a new awesome Star Fox game. I think it'd be really cool. Just I don't know, just like
over F-Zero.
There's just no chance of F-Zero.
I don't think there's any chance. I'll be honest. I don't think there's any chance of Star Fox.
You know what? Here's where I'm at with that. F-Zero doesn't have any like character cachet that like goes very far. Like people don't care about Captain Falcon the same way they do about Fox.
You love that word cachet.
Yeah, but it's true. And also, I have no faith in anyone being able to top F-Zero GX. Like to be honest, if they're gonna make a new F-Zero game, just have Sega work on an F-Zero GX remaster with online play and a few more modes, and I'm happy. Like I don't need a new F-Zero.
Mm-hmm.
That game's perfect to me. And a new I just feel like there's so many directions a new Star Fox could go if they just don't screw it up. You know?
Yeah.
Like, just make a good Star Fox game. Don't screw it up. Go on.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, Derek. Well, I guess next time we chat will be April 2nd.
I know. That's crazy to think the next time we'll be talking about new Switch 2 games.
I don't imagine we're just like so disappointed. We can't believe it. Like,
yeah. Could you imagine? It's like Wind Waker 2, and that's all that's coming.
It's like a new Super Mario Bros. And a Wind Waker port. And like
it's like coming February 2026.
Yeah, the big tease is like a small teaser trailer for Splatoon 4. And like the Mario Kart's not even real. Like it was just like a teaser video.
This is a test demo we did to see if it would be feasible.
A tech demo, and like Metroid Prime 4 is just like 2026. They show nothing.
only on the Switch 1.
It's only on the Switch 1. It's like so disappointment after disappointment. I don't see it.
There's no way. That'd just be so funny.
Nintendo's A teams have been working too long on these things, you know?
Honestly, most of their teams have been working on stuff for a while.
Yeah, you gotta think
the Zelda team, but
the last 3 years of the Switch, but even the Zelda team, that's like Grezzo is the main developer. Like all their big developers have been like, what have we had for the last few years? We've had remasters, we've had games, Mario RPG, and I mean the last big first-party Nintendo game was probably Mario Wonder. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking Mario Wonder was Mario Odyssey. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was probably the last big one, and then the last year's been pretty slow.
Yeah.
Cool, Derek. Well,
right,
I guess that's it.
This is a good podcast. Excited for talking in 2 weeks.
For sure. All right, Derek, and this is Nintendo Bros. Pete signing out.
This is Derek. See you later.